The Supreme Cosmic Mother breathes life into the golden sands of Nubia, establishing a realm where the divine feminine reigns absolute. Here, the Kendakes stand as living reflections of celestial light, guiding their sovereign lands through ancient spiritual wisdom. Their rule mirrors the eternal cycles of the sun and stars, deeply rooted in a matriarchal lineage that predates the very concept of empires. From across the distant sea, the iron legions of the Roman state march toward this sacred sovereign center. They carry not only weapons of bronze and steel, but a profound hunger to subjugate the matriarchs who hold the sacred keys to ancient spiritual knowledge. To defeat the queens, the invader realizes that physical weapons alone remain insufficient against a lineage protected by the stars. A grand deception takes root within the halls of the invading empire, an invention of a patriarchal supreme creator to replace the cosmic mother. The Roman state begins forging new sacred scrolls, placing their own image into the heavens as a singular masculine deity. This vast rewriting of the spiritual text serves to mandate their violent conquests against the Nubian matriarchy as holy decree. Within these freshly inked scrolls, the narrative of the divine deliberately strips away the matriarchal essence of creation. The majestic reign of the Kendakes is erased from the holy books, replaced by lineages of men and kings who claim direct authority from a newly fabricated supreme ruler. The text transforms into a weapon of conquest, masking the march of Roman legions as the righteous will of a heavenly father. The brilliant queens of Kush recognize this spiritual usurpation, seeing the foreign scrolls as instruments of imperial subjugation rather than divine truth. Amun-Arenas and her fellow sovereign leaders draw strength from the deep earth and the eternal sky, preparing to defend the sacred feminine essence of their ancestors. They stand as terrestrial guardians of the original cosmological harmony, radiating undeniable power. By disguising the imperial state as the voice of heaven, the invaders justify the plundering of gold, temples, and sacred lands. The forged scriptures dictate a new hierarchy, one that demands total submission to the empire disguised as religious devotion. Through this textual manipulation, the true source of divine power, the celestial mother, is forcefully written out of the sacred record. The conflict between the legions and the queens manifests as a clash between an invented patriarchal decree and the organic truth of the matriarchal spirit. Every Roman military campaign directed at the heart of Kush is subtly encoded into their religious texts as a divine crusade against the unfaithful. The empire essentially cloaks its political greed in the garments of ultimate righteousness. In the ancient spiritual understanding of the queens, the sun gives freely to the soil, nurturing the seeds of life without demanding servitude. The new scriptures, conversely, depict a jealous and vengeful supreme ruler who punishes those who refuse to bow to his imperial representatives. This stark contrast highlights the vast spiritual chasm between the original cosmological truth and the Roman forgery. As the legions clash with the fierce defenders of Meroe, the invader finds an unyielding force guided by women of unparalleled strategic genius. The matriarchs ride into battle adorned in gold and fiercely devoted to the protection of the sacred land, driving the iron invaders back from the sacred temples. The empire learns that the spirit of the Kendake cannot be broken by mere swords. To compensate for their military struggles against the Nubian queens, the Roman scribes intensify their literary campaign. They weave narratives that portray the sovereign feminine as a force of corruption, subtly embedding their fear of the Kendakes into the foundations of their newly established religious texts. The matriarchal spiritual center is deliberately painted as an adversary to the newly invented divine law. The true nature of the celestial mother is of unconditional nourishment, a stark contrast to the transactional nature of the Roman deity who demands tribute and sacrifice. This patriarchal construct mirrors the taxation and resource extraction of the empire, revealing the true face behind the mask of divinity. The scrolls act as a subtle mirror, reflecting the greed of the invader rather than the light of the stars. Even as the forged books spread across the lands, the intrinsic connection between the Kendakes and the cosmic mother remains unbroken. The queens continue to draw power from the lunar phases and the solar brilliance, performing ancient rites that sustain the spiritual vitality of their people. No imperial text possesses the strength to sever the deep roots of this sovereign lineage. The symbolism woven into the Roman scriptures frequently appropriates ancient Egyptian and Nubian cosmological imagery, twisting it to serve the patriarch. The life-giving river, once the ultimate symbol of the nourishing mother, is rewritten as a tool of divine judgment and imperial control. The original meanings of these sacred symbols are buried beneath layers of patriarchal propaganda. Yet, the original spiritual truth endures in the very architecture of the Nubian pyramids and the unyielding stones of their sacred temples. These monuments stand as silent testaments to a time when the divine feminine held unquestioned authority over the land and the cosmos. The stones hold the true history, impervious to the rewriting campaigns of the foreign scribes. The cosmic mother observes the struggles of the terrestrial realm, bathing the fierce Kendakes in the protective light of the ancient sun. This celestial illumination grants the queens the clarity to see through the grand illusions woven by the Roman state. They govern with the profound understanding that true divine authority arises from harmony with the earth, never from forged scrolls. As the centuries unfold, the patriarchal texts become the foundational doctrine of vast imperial dominions, yet they carry the hidden scars of the Roman-Nubian wars. The absence of the powerful divine feminine within these texts speaks volumes, echoing the fierce resistance of the queens, who refused to submit to an invented heavenly tyrant. The silence in the scrolls reveals the exact nature of the imperial fear. To read the ancient texts with a clear eye is to uncover the meticulous design of an empire desperate to erase the sovereignty of the matriarchs. The scriptures serve as a historical ledger of imperial ambition, documenting the precise methods used to overwrite the ancient cosmological truths. The Roman disguise eventually slips, exposing the political machinery grinding beneath the religious facade. The spiritual lineage of the Kendakes remains a profound source of illumination, a golden thread woven through the deepest roots of African cosmology. Their resistance against the patriarchal empire stands as an eternal testament to the strength of the matriarchal spirit. The queens protected the sacred feminine essence, ensuring its survival despite the massive literary campaigns launched to erase it. The cosmic mother continues to breathe through the rustling palms and the eternal flow of the ancient river, entirely untouched by the ink of Roman scribes. The intrinsic power of the divine feminine simply outlasts the Iron Legions and the empires that sought to replace her. The sovereign energy of Kush remains perfectly intact, resting peacefully in the embrace of the deep earth. In the final measure, the glorious truth of the Kendakes eclipses the artificial shadow cast by the Roman scriptural forgeries. The radiant matriarchal cosmology stands fully vindicated by the stars themselves, reflecting a divine reality that no empire can ever conquer or rewrite. The queens of Nubia hold their rightful place in the eternal cosmic alignment, forever triumphant, luminous, and unbroken.